What's going on YouTube? We are back with another Baldur's Gate 3 mod video. I know it's been a minute since we last did one of these videos, about a week, maybe two, just because I've been out on business with work. I had to travel to Mexico. For those who follow me on like Instagram or on TikTok, you may have seen that. But anyway, we are back and we're going to be taking a look at a mod that is inspired by solo leveling. It's trying to replicate Sung Jin Woo's character, essentially the portion that allows him to basically be a necromancer slash summon shadow creatures, companions during battle. So we're going to be taking a look at that. There are two subclasses that come with this mod, but we're going to take a look at one today. And I'll try and do another one here in the next couple of days, kind of covering the other subclass. So the class is called Shadow Monarch, and there are two variations of it. The one that I'm going to be covering is made by an author called Eddie Main 21. There is another one that's also called Shadow Monarch. I haven't really tested this one out yet. The one that you're going to be looking for doesn't have like a class icon. Is the one I'm going to be showcasing today. I'll probably try and do this one as well by the other mod author just to kind of see how they compare. But I've only been able to test this one for the last couple of days. So in any case, at level 1, you get the ability to choose 2 cantrips. These cantrips, you're probably not going to be using too often. The ones that I pick is Eldritch Blast and Bone Chill, just because they're pretty good damage dealers. Obviously, Eldritch Blast is very strong. You do get the ability to shoot out 3 Eldritch Blasts at a time once you level up. Because we're not going to be really upgrading our Charisma stat, it's probably not the best choice to potentially deal damage all the time, but it is a good long-range ability just in case. And then Bone Chill, just because it stops people from healing. I think it's very strong early to late game, especially when you deal with mages or clerics that have the ability to heal. Ability choices are a little interesting. This subclass gives you the ability to assign +2 to both of your ability points, so +2 and +1. So for this, we're going to be going with Dexterity and Intelligence. Intelligence, because one of the abilities that we have actually modifies based off your spellcasting class, and since Intelligence is going to be our highest, we can base that off our Intelligence. Now, if we don't plan on using that, you can just kind of dump everything to Dexterity, probably lower Intelligence and do Constitution. You can switch it off to Charisma if you feel yourself using Eldritch Blast a lot, but for me, I feel like Dexterity and Intelligence are pretty good abilities to focus on for this class. Skill proficiencies I'm not going to go over just because that's more role-playing, and that's just kind of your own choice. So, going into level 2. So at level 2, you get a health increase. You get 2 class features. One is fast movement, which gives you the ability to move 3 extra meters while not wearing heavy armor. And then shadow manipulation. This is going to be the core mechanic of this mod, and I am going to explain a few things that I've noticed while testing this mod. I don't know if this is a bug or if it's intentional, but I'll describe it here when we come up to it. You get 2 actions. One is the Shadow Manipulation, which is a level 1 conjuration spell. This gives you the ability to either summon a shadow weapon or a shadow creature. We'll go over that once we get done with the leveling up process. And then you also get Pact of the Blade, which allows you to summon a weapon in your hand and use your wielder spellcasting ability modifier, and its damage is magical. So this is what I was talking about. If you need a magical weapon, you can use Pact of the Blade to summon a dagger, short sword, or a long sword, and then you can do damage based off your intelligence instead of your dexterity. Fighting styles. Now, for fighting styles, it just depends on how you want to play the character. If you're trying to mimic Sun's kind of like class as an assassin, I would say 2-weapon fighting, just for like daggers and short swords, and then probably something along the lines of defense, just because it's a flat increase to your armor class. Archery is okay if you plan on using a ranged weapon. If you're not going to use 2-weapon fighting, then you can go great weapon fighting, maybe even protection. And defense are pretty good if you're going for like a sword and board, but just for the sake of trying to mimic Sung Jin Woo, 2-weapon fighting and defense are probably 2 good choices here. Alright, so level 3, this is where we get the specialization in classes, or the subclasses. We have Shadow Sovereign, which I was blanking on the name earlier, and then we have Night Reaper. We're going to be going over the Shadow Sovereign, which is the ability to kind of buff and not necessarily heal, but buff yourself and your allies, including your shadow summons. The action that we get at level 3 is called Commander's Presence. Bolster nearby allies with supernatural resolve. Their attacks deal additional 1 to 6 psychic damage. Psychic damage is pretty strong. I don't know too many creatures that resist psychic damage other than, like, I think automatrons maybe, or like any like mechanical creature in the game. I think every other creature is susceptible to psychic damage. I'm not sure about Githyanki's, to be honest, but I feel like psychic damage is pretty strong across the board, kind of like force damage. At level 4, we get another health increase, and we get a new action, Ebb and Strike. This allows you to strike and give sort of a damage over time ability with Ebb and Rupture. Rapid Rupture attacks this creature, deal additional necrotic damage. It says 0 necrotic damage, but it does actually do damage. We'll see here in the combat scenario. And then we get 2 more spells. The spells for this subclass, you're not really going to be using too often because you're only limited to like a bunch of level 1s and maybe 2 level 2s. So I wouldn't really focus on the spells per se. I would say get something that probably complements what you're trying to do. Some useful ones I would say would be Hex and maybe Arms of Hadar. If not, then maybe something like Tenacious Laughter if you're trying to do like a concentration, trying to keep them in one place. Or you can do Dissonant Whispers is pretty good, give or take. It's probably a little bit more reliable. I would say probably Dissonant Whispers and maybe Hex would be probably 2 good ones. And then you get your first feat. Depending on how you're going to be using your class, if you're going to be using more of the shadow weapons, then Intelligence is a good way to go. Or if you're going to be using daggers, rapiers, then Dexterity is probably where you want to go. So I'm going to go with Dexterity because I plan on using more of daggers than anything else. More so than the shadow weapons. At level 5, this is where we get extra attack. We get a health increase. We get the command spell, which is okay. And then we get the Shadow Manipulation 2. I'm going to explain this here, again, with Shadow Manipulation, because I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's a bug or just kind of the way it works, because it's a little confusing. And I think it's an opportunity to maybe like to kind of adjust it, maybe to balance it out a little bit. In any case, level 6, you get a health increase, and then you get Key Empowered Strikes, which is a little weird to kind of give this class just because I don't see this class using hand-to-hand that often. I mean, yeah, Sun Jinwoo does use his hands, obviously, but I guess you can kind of mix it up a little bit if you want to go with both Monk and more Assassin type. So it's okay. I don't think this carries over to your weapons. And then the action that we get is the Shadow Bulwark. This bolstered with Resolve. Allies gain temporary HP. So allies around you get a temporary HP for 5 turns. Pretty strong. Anything that gives like temporary HP is pretty good in my book. At level 7, this is where like you get a huge power spike, in my opinion. Outside the health increase, you get the ability to use the Shadow Step, and then you get Fast Hands, which allows you to have an extra bonus action, which is really, really strong. And then you get 2 more additional spells. This is what I was talking about earlier, where you kind of cap out at your level 2 spells. Something like Mirror Image is also would be my choice, pretty strong. Increase your armor classes and makes you a little bit harder to hit. And then I would say probably something. Either Hold Person is pretty strong. Crown of Madness is okay if you're looking for a concentration. Cloud of Daggers is pretty good too, but these are all like concentration spells, so just be mindful of that. Hellish Rebuke is okay if you want to do counter damage. It's not too bad. Witch Bolt's not really strong in my opinion. Shadow's pretty good. It's a good like area of effect spell, so if you look at something a little bit long range, then Shatter's pretty good. But I would definitely say Mirror Image is something I would choose. Going up to level 8, you only get a health increase and ability improvement. Again, I would like to see probably something to beef this up a little bit. Maybe the ability to summon more shadow creatures, or kind of give a little bit more abilities, just instead of like an ability improvement. Level 9, you get another health increase, and you get the Tenacity, which is the evasion feature, which allows you to essentially, if you're a dexterity saving throw, you have a chance of taking no damage rather than taking half damage. So pretty strong here. I think this is probably like the last power spike that you get from this subclass. So honestly, in testing, I would say probably after level 10. Probably after level 10, you can go into subclass if you're going to do like a 10-2 with something else. But we're going ahead and go to level 12. At level 10, you get Shadow Domain, which is pretty strong. It allows you to have a Ring of Darkness around you, essentially, which causes enemies to miss you more often. It only affects enemies and not allies, so you can have like your Spellcaster with you if you like. With really, really strong ability. And then we get the Shadow Manipulation 3. Again, I believe this ability is either broken or maybe I'm not understanding the use of it, but I'll explain it here after we get through the level up process. You get 2 more spells. Again, only level 1 spell, so you just pick what you want. Honestly, I don't have really real recommendations here just because I feel like these are pretty weak in the grand scheme of things. And then level 11, a simple health increase, and then at level 12, you get the last feat here, which you can do ability improvement. You can do Savage Attacker if you feel like you're missing more attacks. But yeah, I feel like this is pretty weak. If you want to do dual wielder, if you want to use like short swords or long swords or something like that, instead of daggers, you can use that. And I guess depending on how you kind of level up your class, this is where like you could use that ability as dual wielder to summon a short sword and have like another short sword and use your ent instead of your dexterity. So just depends on how you plan the class. If not, then I would go something with maybe intelligence here, or savage attacker. Just kind of how you feel like you're playing and how you feel like you're performing. Now, to kind of explain the shadow manipulation, which I think is either bugged or it's not working as I'm understanding it. So shadow manipulation allows you to summon either creatures or weapons. So shadow manipulation 1 here, 1, 2, and 3. Shadow manipulation 1 gives you the ability to summon the Legion of Darkness. Will give you 2 shadow creatures. Now, that's cool and all. Obviously, they look a little weird because they're just kind of sunk into the ground. But anyway, so that's cool and all. But my concern, or I guess not necessarily concern, maybe complaint, is that you can't summon multiple shadow creatures. So we're going to summon a shadow extraction here. But then our shadow legions are gone. And now we only have 1 shadow summon. The same thing happens whenever you go with the extraction warrior, the mage, so on and so forth, right? And so it would make sense if, okay, so you can only have 1 shadow manipulation level 1 available. So, okay, you can do a shadow blade. That's cool. So if you want to use like the short sword or the shadow blade, that's cool. You can still have that and have a shadow creature out. Because that does go into your main hand. It's cool and all. I mean, obviously you can get better weapons and stuff like that if you wanted to. But, any case, my thing is that, so if you go to shadow manipulation level 2, there's only the extraction mage. So you're thinking, okay, I can just summon this and still have my shadow extraction or shadow manipulation 1. No, it takes over that, which I feel like that's a huge nerf to the class. And then same thing with shadow manipulation level 3, right?
Time for some bloody work.
I don't know why I did that. That was a little weird. But anyway. So then we summon a shadow beast, right? I would feel this class would make a little bit more sense if you're able to summon 1 summon out of each shadow manipulation. And then each shadow manipulation should have extra abilities here. Like, I shouldn't only be able to summon just 1 shadow mage at level 2. And then level 3 is the shadow beast. That doesn't seem to make sense to me. Maybe I'm misunderstanding how the class is supposed to be working. But that's something that I've noticed. When going through and testing class. Now, when we go through the combat demonstration, I'm not going to completely finish combat, but I just want to showcase how it works. And then I am going to mention something that you can do in combat, which is actually pretty cool. So, as always, if you enjoyed the video, I appreciate a like. I'll try and leave timestamps down below if you didn't want to see like the explanation of the class, you just wanted to see the combat. But as always, please like the video, share it, and I'll catch you next time. Take care.
Time to press ahead.
So as mentioned here, you have the chance to actually kill a creature and have the chance to summon a Depth Shepherd. So I feel like that makes this class strong. However, I would still like to see the ability to summon Shadow Manipulations at least more than 1 at a time. But I did want to mention that. I said if it did trigger, I wanted to talk about that. You can see, again here, kill another creature, summon another Death Shepherd. So I think this is kind of like maybe the balance that's behind the class, is the ability to kill creatures and summon more, I guess, more shadow mobs to fight on your side. And they're pretty strong. They're Death Shepherds. They're pretty strong. You can have them buff each other. So I did want to mention that as the combat portion of this video goes on. Again, I would like to see a little bit more work with the shadow manipulations, but I do like the idea of being able to summon Death Shepherds after killing enemies.